what we have discussed, all right, that is nature scope of political science. So now today we'll talk about nature of political philosophy. All right, so what is political philosophy and what is the nature of political philosophy and how political philosophy is different from the political science. All right, so definitely, right, there is a difference between political science and political philosophy. We'll try to understand. We'll try to understand what you call this difference between political science and political philosophy. All right. So I think I was talking about the impact of behavioral movement. The impact of behavioral movement. David Easton. See, whatever that is been taught, every point in the class is very, very important. You can just imagine that I am discussing a question and answers. You can directly use this lecture to write answers in the exam. So, what is the impact of behavioral movement? And another important event is post-behavioralism. Another important event is post-behavioralism. Right? So, what is behavioralism? What is post-behavioralism? So, this was asked in 2025 mains. Right? And what is the difference between these? So, here, right? So, we have seen political science is concerned with a scientific method or scientific approach of developing political theory, right? So this is one side of political theory. So we have two sides of political theory. One side, political theory is concerned with scientific theory of politics. All right, the other side is the philosophical approach or the theory based upon political philosophy. All right. So where in the previous class we have discussed that political science. So political science is concerned with observation, generalization, explanation, and what you call prediction and what you call a prescription. All right. So that means this is the scientific side of political theory. So a scientific theory is developed by these what you call methods. So these are different steps. So observation, generalization, explanation, prediction, prescription. So these are different steps in developing a scientific political theory. These are different steps that are involved in developing a scientific political theory. Okay. So this is what you should know. Now, the other parties along with these steps. So by 1950s, we see emergence of behavioralism. The purpose of this behavioral approach, right? The purpose of this behavioral approach is to strengthen the scientificness of political theory. It is to strengthen the scientificness of political theory. The scientificness of political theory. All right. So now how to strengthen this scientificness? So what should be the focus of study? So according to this behavioral movement or according to this behavioral approach, so what should be the focus of study? So where the focus should be on? So what aspects of politics? Should be studied? All right. So
Individual behavior.
good, super. It is the behavior of individuals. The focus of study, the scientific analysis of human behavior. Right? It is simply a scientific analysis of human behavior. So this should be the focus, the scientific study of human behavior. Right? So scientific study of human behavior, that is behavior of all the individuals concerned. So who are different individuals who are concerned with this, what you call, in the politics? So different individuals includes, so in our language, in our terms, it is politicians or it is the India, what you call, the voters. So every individual who is connected with the political system, right? So scientific understanding of every scientific understanding of individuals behavior, it is only then we can develop a scientific theory of politics. A scientific political theory can be developed only when we can uh, have a scientific understanding of human behavior. So this is the crux of behavioral approach. So this is the, what you call, the focal element of behavioral movement. Remember, this behavioral movement in 1950s, it has influenced all the social sciences. Particularly political science, public administration, economics. All right. So this, so you can, to your knowledge, remember this concept of behavioral approach. It got started in sociology, and from sociology, it is being adopted into different other, what you call, social sciences, particularly the subjects like political science or economics or public administration. So that means, remember that this behavioral movement has impact not just on political science. It is not just on political science, but it also had an impact on each and every other social sciences. So understanding the behavior of bureaucrats, if you take public administration, it is about understanding the behavior of bureaucrat, behavior of people, right? Understanding the behavior of consumer behavior, right? Now if you talk about consumer behavior, then it is a focus of which social science? Economics. Right? Now I'm clear about this behavioral movement. So behavioral movement is not just confined to political science, it is spread throughout. It has influenced all the social sciences. So in political science, so every discipline has their own, what you call, forerunner. In political science, it is David Easton. In public administration, it is, what you call, Robert Dha. In political science, in PubAd, it is Robert Dha. Right? So now the focal element of this behavioral approach is understanding, scientific understanding of human behavior. So why we require scientific understanding? The purpose is to have a scientific political theory. That means whether this behavioral movement is aimed at strengthening the scientific nature of political science, whether it aimed at strengthening a scientific nature of political science. What do you say? Yes. Definitely yes.
Yes, sir.
Right? The purpose of this behavioral movement, is to strengthen the scientificness. Right? So that was the goal of David Easton. So David Easton want to bring, right, what you call a scientificness into political theory. Right? So this is very, very important, for example. All right. So the behavioral approach aimed at bringing scientificness, increasing the scientific temper within political science. All right. So this is what you should remember about behavioral approach. So to understand human behavior, this David Easton has what you call clearly separated, right, the entire political system into two things. One is the political process as well as the political functions. Right? He has separated the political system into process and institutions or structures. So what is the exact process involved in the political functioning? What is the exact process? Say, for example, what is the most important political function? For your knowledge, according to you, what is the most important function of political science?
Lawmaking.
Lawmaking. Good, very good. All right. So the important function of politics is lawmaking. Important function of politics is lawmaking. Okay.